Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SRH Creation. Here I am Sharmin Huda from Alia University second year Civil Engineering. Today I will discuss about bricks. As you know, what is bricks? Bricks is a fundamental building unit. It is most basic from which is used for in the building construct work. Nowadays, fly ash bricks are prominent, so they use the byproduct of thermal power plants. So fly ash bricks are also common. Most prominent bricks are constituent through the earth. Now the composition of bricks. Most important part of the bricks, which material in which percentage are used to construct the bricks and what are the property which they give. So first material, which is alumina, it is about 20 to 30%. So 20 to 30% weight of brick is constituted by alumina. Now what is property it provides? It imparts plasticity. Excess leads to shrinkage and warping. So in this brick becomes too hard and get breaks. Now second element is silica. First thing is percentage. So 50 to 60 percentage silica is present in the brick. In this major product which constituent bricks. Favorable property shrinkage and cracking. What happens if it is excess? Destroys the cohesion. Now third product is lime. 3 to 5% only present in bricks. It prevents shrinkage of the bricks. It is present in excess, causes brick to melt. Now, fourth product is iron oxide. 5 to 6% iron oxide is present in the bricks. It imparts color to bricks. Now, if it is present in excess, decolorize the brick. You might have seen the color of bricks roughly reddish color. And now fifth element is magnesium. Small amount magnesium is present in the bricks. It imparts yellow tint. Excess may leads to decay of bricks. Now we will move to the next point, harmful ingredients in bricks. So for lime, it leads to volume change. Now second, iron pyrites. It is leads to crystallization. It converted to ferric oxide, ferrous oxide, and finally integration of bricks. Third is alkalis. It may lead to the efflorescence of bricks. Now, fourth point is organic matter. It may lead to decomposition of bricks. Now, last one is stone and pebbles. They will reduce load carrying capacity. Now, what is efflorescence in brick? Efflorescence is crystalline salty deposit that appears on the surface of brick walls. The whitish salty decomposition. Now we will come to next point, manufacturing of bricks. First process is preparation of clay. So under preparation of clay, first thing is unsoiling. In unsoiling, what is done? 300 millimeter topsoil is removed. Then the earth is digging. This is the next process. Then there is cleaning to remove the impurities. Then the next process is weathering. So in order to remove the moisture present in it, it is left for at its weathering under the atmosphere. Then blending. If some of the ingredients which are required for the bricks manufacturing are not present, supposedly silica is not present up to that mark, that case we have to blend that excess silica which we want in there. The last process is tempering. Tempering is done with this machine called pug mill. In this, the clay is prepared for brick preparation. So, the dry earth mixed with water, it is rotated in pug mill to get the dry earth. Now, next process is molding. There is two types of molding, hand molding and machine molding. Now in hand molding, you can either table molding or ground molding. Table molding will give the superior bricks and ground molding will give poorer bricks. For machine molding, dry clay molding and plastic clay molding. For dry clay molding, you pour the dry earth on the mold, mixed the water in that clay. For plastic clay molding, it is wet earth which is placed in the molds. Now, third process is drying, in which partially we dry the bricks. The bricks are moisture in that, then dry a bit. This is the table molding and this is machine molding. And this is the projection of fork molding blocks. This is mold and this is mold, projection of fork molding block. Now fourth process is burning. In burning process, either there is clamps or kiln. So clamps are nothing but they are trapezoidal in shape. It is about 150 to ground level. So bricks obtained from the clamps are not of that much good quality. So these are for the mirror works only. These are not used for the heavy work. While kiln intermittent kiln, there is two types: intermittent kiln and continuous kiln. In intermittent kiln, there is updraft kiln and downdraft kiln. In updraft, what happens? The burning is done from the bottom, and while in downdraft, burning is done on bottom. But you take some ducts here and at the top you release the hot gases. Hot gases from bottom to top in updraft, while in downdraft hot gases from top to bottom. While in continuous kiln, there is three types of kiln: Hobman kiln, Bull Trench kiln, and Tannel. In Hobman kilns, it is a continuous kiln and it has permanent room at as a result of which it can function even during rains. The first Hobman kilns were in form of a great circular ring chamber with massive walls and a large chimney at the center, to which underground radial flues covered from the inside walls of each of the 12 chambers. There are 12 chambers in Hobman kilns. Next, it is Bull Trench kiln. The kiln can be made circular or elliptical in shape. It is constructed on dry land by digging trench 9-meter width and 2 to 2.5-meter deep and 100 to 150-meter long. The bull trench kill constitute a rectangular, circular or oval plan shape. They are constructed below the ground level by excavating a trench of required width for the given capacity. This is the trench and this is the outer wall of the bull trench kill. This is the chimney and this is the bricks tracked in the trench. This is trench and this is fixed chimney. The main difference between the bull trench kiln and the Hobman kilns are Hobman kilns is an oval ground structure while bull trench kiln is an underground structure. Hobman kilns have a permanent roof while bull trench kilns do not have, so it former can be used in 12 months a year to manufacturing bricks, but later it stopped in the monsoon season. Now we will move to classification of bricks as per constituent materials. There are various types of bricks used in masonry. First is common burnt clay bricks. Common burnt clay bricks are formed by pressing in molds. Then these bricks are dried and filled in a kiln. Common burnt clay bricks are used in general work with no special attractive appearance. When these bricks are used in walls, they require plastering or rendering. Next is stand lime bricks. Stand lime bricks are made by mixing sand, fly ash and lime followed by a chemical process during wet mixing. Their shape is uniform and present a smooth finish that does not require plastering. These bricks offer excellent strength as a load-bearing member. Now, third is engineering bricks and concrete bricks. Engineering bricks are manufactured at extremely high temperature, forming a dense and strong bricks. Engineering bricks offer excellent load-bearing capacity, damp-proof characteristics, and chemical resisting properties. Now, fly ash clay bricks. Fly ash bricks are manufactured with clay and fly ash at about 100 degrees centigrade. Some studies have shown that these bricks tend to fail poor produce bouts when bricks come into contact with moisture and water, causing the bricks to expand. Now we will move to tests on bricks. There are several processes to test the bricks. First one is compressive strength test. This test is done to know the compressive strength of bricks. It is also called crushing strength of bricks. Generally, 5 specimens of bricks are taken to laboratory for testing and tested one by one. In this test, a brick specimen is put on crushing machine and applied pressure till it breaks. The ultimate pressure at which brick is crusting is taken into account. All 5 specimens are tested one by one and average result is taken as brick's compressive strength. Now, second test is water absorption test. In this test, bricks are wetted in dry condition and let them immersed in fresh water for 24 hours. After 24 hours of immersion, those are taken out from the water and wiped out with cloth. Then bricks is wetted in wet condition. The difference between weights in the water absorbed by bricks. The percentage of water absorption is then calculated. The less water absorption by bricks is the greater quality, and good quality bricks does not absorb more than 20% of water its own weight. Now third test is efflorescence test. The presence of alkalis in bricks is harmful and they form a grey or white layer on brick surface by absorbing moisture. To find out the presence of alkalis in bricks, this test is performed. In this test, a brick is immersed in fresh water for 24 hours and it's taken out from water and allowed to dry in shade. If the whitish layer is not visible on surface, it proves that absence of alkalis in bricks. The bricks is good quality. If the whitish layer visible on 10% of brick surface, then the presence of alkalis is in acceptable range. If the alkalis present is over 50%, then the bricks is severely affected by alkalis. Now next test is hardness test. In this test, a scratch is made on brick surface with a hard thing. If that does not left any impression on brick, then that is good quality bricks. Next and last test is soundness test. In this test, two bricks are held by both hands and struck with one another. If the bricks give clear metallic ringing sound and don't break, then those are good quality in bricks. Thank you for watching my video.